Hey guys, it's Tealus here. I'm back inside the Dream Grove, ready to bring you another class overview for World of Warcraft Legion. This time we will be looking at the Feral Druid and the changes that will be coming to Feral Druid in World of Warcraft Legion. This is a two-part episode, kind of like video series here. In the first video series, in the first video, we will be looking at the removed, changed, and new abilities of a Feral Druid, as well as the artifact weapon that is available to them. As you can see right here, this is my artifact form as a Worgen Druid, and then I also have my artifact weapons. You can see these wonderful little daggers that I have here. So we will look at that in the first video, and then in the second video we will look at some talents. We will look at the PvE and PvP talents that are coming to a Feral Druid in World of Warcraft Legion. Hopefully my voice holds out throughout all of this. It's starting to decline. These videos are very long, and then it's starting to become a little taxing. So hopefully I'll make it through this guy, and I won't sound really raspy and so forth. Now, I will say Feral Druids are one of the least changed classes in the game. Definitely by far. In fact, they're fighting with Assassination Rogues and probably Destruction Warlocks for like title of least changed class in World of Warcraft Legion. So, if you're a Feral Druid that really likes how things are going now, you're not going to be disappointed because not too much is changing. However, if you are frustrated by how Feral operates on live, don't expect too much to come your way, because it truly is very little has changed. We're going to see several removed abilities. We're going to see several abilities changed, but in both cases, many of them is stuff that does not affect your playstyle. There's only really one that will affect your playstyle, and then there's only one new ability. So really, truly, there is not much that has changed for a Feral Druid in World of Warcraft Legion. So, let's go ahead and get into this. Hopefully this will be a shorter video. I'm pretty sure I said that about Assassination Rogues, considering how little had changed, but it ended up still being pretty long anyways, which, that's probably just because of me. It is Tearless here doing this. So, let's go ahead and look at the removed abilities first. Cyclone has been removed. It is a PvP talent in either Balance Druids or Restoration Druids. I can't remember, but it is gone completely from a Feral Druid. That really hurts Restoration and Balance Druids more than it does Feral Druids or Guardian Druids. So I don't think that's too big of a deal, but it will hurt not having that in your arsenal. Second ability that has been removed, Fairy Fire or Fury Fire, however you pronounce it. That has been removed as well. I don't know how popular that was, the stealth mechanics of it being there, or rather I should say the anti-stealth mechanics of it being there was helpful. So that can be kind of a stick in the mud, not having that available to you. I can't remember if it's this or it looks like it's bear form that actually gets that back in some form of a talent, but it is gone from Feral. Frenzied Regeneration, Mangle, and Rejuvenation and Wrath. All of these have been removed, and I'm grouping them up as one because they do have the ability, there is an ability for you to get them back as a talent. Blizzard is introducing this thing in the talent tree for Druids called an Affinity, and it basically allows you to have some kind of buff for your off-spec form, whether that be Balance, whether that be Guardian or so forth. I mean, if you look in the bottom left-hand corner now at my my shapeshift bar, I actually have Moonkin form as a Feral Druid, and that's because I'm Balance Affinity at the moment. You'll see in the talents video why I have Balance Affinity as my choice for a Feral Druid. Some may find it odd, and they may be like, well, why wouldn't you go Guardian? As a PvPer, I think Balance Affinity is going to be pretty popular, but we will get into that in the PvP section. We'll get into that into the talents video. For now, we'll just stick to the abilities and the artifact weapon. So, know that Frenzied Regeneration, Mangle, and Wrath, and Rejuvenation, all of those are abilities that could come back through a talent, but have been removed as baseline for a Feral Druid. Hurricane has been removed for Feral Druid. Really, this is something you will not be that will not be missed. To be honest, it's really odd that it's actually a resto ability now. Not even Balance has access to it, but it has been removed from Feral Druids. Mark of the Wild has been removed. All raid-wide buffs have been removed. If you want to know why they've been removed, basically Blizzard started out with some classes having raid-wide buffs, some not, and then after a while, all of a sudden, like they were worried about like certain specs and classes not getting into raids, so they started giving everyone raid buffs, and then once everyone can cover every raid buff extremely easy, like it's extremely easy to cover raid buffs, and you don't even have to worry about your group composition anymore. It's like, why even have raid buffs anymore? So basically that's what they did. They got rid of them, which I'm personally okay with, because I really hated, like in a battleground or something, having to buff myself every time I got out of the graveyard. I'm selfish like that. I don't care about buffing my teammates. I just want to get out there, roll out the damage, and so forth. So, Mark of the Wild is gone. You will not be missed, at least not by me. Another talent, well, it is a talent that you can get back, but another ability that will not be missed is Savage Roar. I absolutely hate, and I mean hate, these upkeep talents. Savage Roar, Inquisition, Slice and Dice. They got rid of Inquisition like an expansion ago, and now they're getting rid of Savage Roar and Slice and Dice to some degree. Slice and Dice and Savage Roar, I believe, both come back as talents. So if you actually enjoyed that playstyle, first I'm gonna say I think you're crazy. I don't mean to be rude, but it's just I cannot find the appeal in something like upkeep, especially in something like PvP where it's really frustrating to keep something like Savage Roar up. So that's really frustrating to have in PvP. Maybe in PvE I can find the appeal because it gives you kind of a cool rotation, and so I understand that, some complexity, but for the most part I really didn't like Savage Roar. However, if you were a fan of it, it will come back as a talent, and we'll discuss that in the next video. Soothe has been removed across the board. Blizzard felt that Druids no longer needed to have Soothe in their ability package. And then we've lost two passives as a Feral Druid. We've lost Leader of the Pack, which is odd. Leader of the Pack's been around for a while. I believe it came in as a 40 talent maybe in Burning Crusade, and it's been here since then. But they have removed any type of like buff that was just like static buff. Here's a damage buff, or slight healing that Leader of the Pack provide. It's just been removed now. And same thing with Sharpened Claws. Sharpened Claws was just a straight stat buff for your character. Blizzard last expansion created, because there were so many different secondary stats, they created these little stat buffs that they could like help point you in the right direction for what your best secondary stat was, which was absurd. You should just be able to choose which one you liked, with the playstyle you like the most, and then let the theory crafters decide which one is the best one to have. And then if you're really interested in being in your A game, you'll definitely just Google it up and find out which one it is. So they've gotten rid of all of those just passive, bland buffs, which Sharpened Claws was one of them. So that's everything for removed abilities. Let's go ahead and look into changed abilities. First off, let's just start with forms. Bear form, cat form, and travel form no longer cost any mana. Blizzard really wanted to get rid of mana cost for form switching, and basically anything that you can cast in cat form and still stay in cat form will no longer cost mana. That's basically the gist of it. If you end up being kicked out of cat form for something, you will have to expend mana. Example is going to be Entangling Roots. Okay, so otherwise, you can switch between your forms, even Moonkin form. Now, all of them are just, they're different. So that's something to take note of when you actually are considering, switching back and forth between like bear form and cat form and travel form. You have no mana cost now. You don't have to worry about it. In fact, your mana bar no longer shows up. It used to like show up a little bit below so you could see, what your mana was. Now Blizzard's saying you don't have to worry about that. All you need to worry about is your combo points and your energy, and that's all that I really care about and all that you should care about. And so that's the way things have changed. So with that, let's also mention that in bear form, armor has been reduced from 250 to 200% increase. So it's only increased by 200%. And then stamina has been increased from 20 to 30%. So now you have a stamina increase to 30%. The reason for this change, and I'll get into this in the Guardian video, is that they're really trying to diversify tanks, and bears are now like they're just like the health, the massive health bar. Like bears, I can't remember which expansion it was, but like bears had absurd health bars, and it looks like Blizzard wants to go back to that. They tried last expansion to like give active mitigation and so forth to bears, and to help out. And they've changed things around so that instead of having active mitigation in terms of dodge, they instead just give you a really large health bar, and they've given you different forms of active mitigation, and that's basically so that it has its own unique flavor. Dodging is Brewmaster's thing, so they get the dodge aspect, and they take it away from Druids, and then they say, Druids, you're just gonna have a lot of health, which is cool. I like having a lot of health as a Druid. Makes you really hard to actually take down. And I will say right now on the PTR, on Painted Realms, Guardian Druids are very powerful. Dash no longer removes roots and snares. This was a change from the tooltip. I'm not sure if it was always done that way. It's been a while since I've played a Feral Druid. Druid is actually my very first class ever in World of Warcraft. It has been a while since I played Feral. So I'm not quite sure if that was baseline. I didn't think it was, but it will no longer remove roots and snares. So you no longer have root protection with dash, and if you want to get rid of the snare, you're gonna have to shapeshift and then use sprint to get out of that snare. Moonfire will now last 14 seconds, down from 20 seconds, so they're really kind of cutting back on that. You now are going to have to deal with having Moonfire. It doesn't last as long, so the rotations will be a little bit different in how it actually works. And basically, that's part of the Lunar Inspiration talent, which we'll get into more in our actual talent video. Rake, this is a big change. So Rake now reduces target speed by 50%. You may think, well, like, what's the big deal about that? That's great. Except for it takes it from Shred. Shred used to reduce target speed by 50%, and it no longer does. So know that Shred no longer reduces movement speed, but Rake does. So why does this matter? Well, a lot of times you're opening with Rake, which is fine. However, when you have a situation in which maybe someone is able to clear that snare, you had Shred to be able to consistently apply it. Now you have to reapply it through Rake, which really stinks. That's something that is kind of a bummer, and just something that you're gonna have to watch out for. Something that it's something that really only affects PvPers, because you don't want to continually just apply Rake over and over again. So that's something that's there, but it's just really kind of just a change that has been made that PvPers are going to have to deal with it. I don't know, maybe it's going to be more popular for PvPers that Rake now reduces the target speed, because Rake is, to my knowledge, the main opener for a Druid coming out of stealth. Like that's the opener that they want, and so no longer do they have to use Rake and then Shred to get that snare off. Instead it's just straight on Rake, but at the same time you run into problems with classes that are able to clear that movement speed reduction really quickly. Now, I will be showing some abilities throughout this because Blizzard has done some visual art upgrades on melee classes. It's been a while since I've taken a look at Feral Druid's actual abilities, but I'm going to go through and show them all to you just in case things have changed, so you can hear sound effects change, etc. I'm using Rake here several times so you can see what it is, and I'll use Shred right here so you can see it's like, so Shred's a swipe with the right arm, and Rake's a swipe with the left arm. So that is the change between those two abilities and what they have done. Now, do know that the enhancement for Rake is still the enhancement for Rake is still there. If you remember in Warlords of Draenor, you got these little enhancements that would, boost your abilities. The enhancement for Rake was it deals 100% increased damage if used from stealth. That has now been made baseline, so it is now in there. And I will say that Feral Druids, out of all the specializations, Feral Druids the first class that I've come across in which they've really been able to retain almost all of their enhancements. And if you are perplexed as to why I am still attacking this target, even though I seem pretty far away from the target, well, let's just say watch the talent video and you'll understand why I like balance affinity for a druid. It's really going to be helpful, in PvP at least. So, with that being said, let's look into other changed abilities. First off, Berserk. It's increased maximum energy by 50. This is another enhancement that is just now baseline part of Berserk now. So really nice change there. Rebirth now is instant cast, up from 1.84 second cast. Blizzard basically feels as though, I'm not sure if it was instant cast before, but Blizzard feels like if you're going to be using Rebirth, to get, a raid member up, you really shouldn't be spending time out of cat form. So quickly use Rebirth, get back into cat form, no damage done, things are better. Survival Instincts has had its duration increased by 3 seconds. This is actually a talent that we will see in the artifact weapon. It'll still start out basically how it is on live, and then there's actually a talent inside your wonderful artifact weapons that'll increase it by 3 seconds. Teleport Moonglade is replaced by an ability called Dreamwalk. Now, when you actually load 7.0 for the first time, Teleport Moonglade will still be there. It's just when you actually get to the Dream Grove for the first time, get your artifact weapon set up, etc., it will be replaced. And trust me, it's way better. I will show Dreamwalk at the end of this episode so you can see just how much better it is. It basically gives druids as much mobility around Azeroth as a mage does. That's how incredibly good this is. With that being said, we have Prowl. A movement speed penalty on Prowl has been removed. That was an enhancement as well. So that is nice for, that is now baseline for Prowl, so you no longer have a movement speed penalty. And then lastly, going through all of these changes, we have Primal Fury. It will no longer additionally grant 8 rage for crits in bear form. So, just so you know what it is, you have Primal Fury. When you critically strike with an attack that generates a combo point, you gain an additional combo point. Damage over time cannot trigger this effect. Before, it used to grant 8 rage for crits in bear forms. That no longer applies. So that's something that you're no longer going to have. Unless you choose a Guardian Affinity, switching back and forth between bear form and cat form is definitely reduced in this game, in World of Warcraft Legion. They really want you to kind of choose that affinity, and we'll get into that in the actual talent episode. So, that is all of the changed abilities, quite a lot of them, but most of them are minor changes, and for the most part the playstyle of a Feral Druid has not changed, even with both removed and changed. There's only one new ability, and that new ability, as I bring it up here, is going to be an ability called, I have to even find it here, geez, where is F? I can't even find it now. It's a talent, that's why. It is called Feral Instinct. It is a passive, and it reduces the chance that enemies have to detect you while Prowl is active. This is basically when I do the write-ups for these, I basically compare my live version Druid, which is at level 100, versus the level 110 version of the beta version. And this was not in the spellbook. It's very possible that this was already in the game somehow, somewhere, and I could not find it. But this is now actually in your spellbook there. So if it actually changes stuff, I'm not sure. But otherwise, it really, it could possibly just be them actually putting it in the spellbook there so that you actually know that it's there now. Which, honestly, I don't know why they would do, but just know that it's there. It could be to make a difference between actually being in cat form Prowl in your other specs, balance, resto, guardian, versus actually being feral in actual feral spec, being in cat form in actual feral spec, so you have more stealth there. I know there's always been arguments between rogues and ferals in terms of who can detect who out of stealth the fastest, so maybe this is something bridging the gap. I'm not really sure. We're entering some uncharted territory because as I've mentioned in my rogue videos, I know very little about rogues, and it's just not my strong point. So, with that, that is everything for the abilities on a feral druid. Very little has changed. Like I said, it's going to feel very much like it has, it's going to feel very much like it has on live. Really not much has changed. So let's go ahead and look at the artifact weapon. First we'll look at the ability here, which is called Ashmane's Frenzy. Artifact weapon, 1.25 minute cooldown. Unleash Ashmane's Frenzy, clawing your target 15 times over 3 seconds for 74,000 physical damage, and an additional 223,000 bleed damage over 6 seconds. Dishing out that bleed damage, which is a trademark of feral druids here. So we'll go ahead and use this. I'm also going to go through and show you the other abilities just to make sure that there are no changes that you guys have not seen before. There's Thrash, there's Swipe, oh, that's nice. I don't remember the little swipe actually like circling all the way around there. So a little bit of a change there if my knowledge serves me correctly. Here's Ferocious Bite right there. A little bit quicker animation it seems there. And then we have Maim there as well. And then the last one that we need to look at is Rip. So let me go ahead and get this up here. And here's Rip. So there we go, 2 claws straight down. So they have worked on the animations and sound effects from Melee a lot in this expansion. It is the primary reason, in my opinion, that the actual specs required to play World of Warcraft Legion have gone up, and they're going to be working on actual spell visuals for casters next, so I'm sure that it's going to get even more intense. If you saw the Balanced Druid video, you can pretty much have a laser light show. I mean, there's just so much going on. So, with that, let's go ahead and take a look at this artifact weapon and just see what it does. We'll go ahead and come up here and use it. Ashmane's Frenzy, as you there, got those purple strikes all over the place. That's really cool and does a lot of bleed damage. So, that's really cool. So with that, let's go ahead and look into the actual artifact weapons. They're called the Fangs of Ashmane. And one is called, it doesn't look like they have separate names. A lot of them have separate names. In this case, they're just called the Fangs of Ashmane. So they don't have separate names. But we will go through this talent tree here. Do know that the epic portraits are the good stuff that you have. And then you start down here with Ashmane's Frenzy. This is where you start your talent tree, and then you work your way through the talent tree, building up your talents. So we will start here, and we'll just work our way in a curve all the way down to this last epic portrait here. So this first ability that you will get right off the bat, because like when they're teaching you how to do your artifact weapon, you get this right away. It's called Shredder Fangs. Increases the damage dealt by shred by 15%. A lot of these talents are going to seem really boring, and I'm sorry, but that's just how they're working with this talent tree. It's kind of like the old talent trees, so if you really like the old talent trees, guess what? You're getting it back. So in this next one here, we have Sharpened Claws. It increases the damage dealt by swipe by 15%. Over here, we have Tear the Flesh. Increases damage dealt by rake by 15%. So we have just straight 15% damage buffs on 3 abilities right off the bat. Then we have Protection of Ashmane. When you shapeshift out of cat form, you gain 100% increased dodge chance and armor for 5 seconds, or until you shapeshift back into cat form. Can only occur once every 30 seconds. This is awesome. So if you have to pop out, let's say you go Resto Affinity and you get that rejuvenation back. Let's say you have to pop out and put some heals on yourself or something. You have 100% increased dodge chance and armor for 5 seconds until you shapeshift. 100% increased dodge chance and armor sounds weird. Like, why do you need both? But I guess that's to the armor. The increased armor is to accommodate for maybe any type of physical dots you may have on yourself. In the second ability here, on this little, well, it's not the second ability, but going across this little row here, the second one here, we have Feral Power. Increases the critical strike chance of Shred by 15%. That's going to be stacking up to 3, so that's 5% per rank. And that's the same with both of these down here. It's going to be 5% per rank with Rake, 5% per rank with Swipe. The only one that's different is Shredder Fang, so just straight 15% increased damage on Shred. Here we have Hardened Roots. Your bleed damage will no longer cancel Entangling Roots early. So, put Entangling Roots on someone. That's something you have to shapeshift out from, so you get that armor bonus. Let's see if that actually shows up as a buff for you. So I'm going to pop out, and you can see in the top right hand here, it says Protection of Ashmane, chance to dodge attacks increased by 100%, and your armor increased by 100%. So, that's a useful ability to have there. Here we have Honed Instincts. Increases the duration of Survival Instinct by 3 seconds. This is what I was talking about. This is where the 3-second increase on Survival Instincts comes from. And it's going to be 3 ranks, so it's going to be 1 second per rank. We have Attuned to Nature. Increases healing done by Healing Touch by 45%. So if you really want to get that heal off, you have that, you're going to have that dodge buff and everything. And then you're going to be able to get that heal off real quick. It is 45% 3 ranks, so that'll be 15% per rank. These two paired together, if you're a PvPer, you're probably going to want to start going up this right-hand side as opposed to the left-hand side. That's pretty cool. Our first epic portrait is Shadow Thrash. Thrash has a 25% chance to release a part of Ashmane's soul, causing all nearby enemies to take 149,000 shadow damage over 2 seconds. Let's see if we can get this to operate here. So let's go ahead and use Thrash and see if we can get this debuff to actually appear on the target. We'll keep using it here, and right now we're just getting Thrash at the moment. The one thing that irritates, it says a 25% chance. I'm having the worst luck ever trying to get this to actually activate here, considering it's only a 25% chance. It's possible that it may be bugged. It's also possible that it may not actually show up on the targets. It's not showing up as a buff in my top right hand side there. So somewhere it's supposed to show up. Thrash is supposed to deal this extra shadow damage as a 25% chance. Either I'm getting the worst RNG in history. There it is right there. Oh my goodness. That took a while. So it has this extra purple kind of damage thrush there. I don't know if that happened earlier. I just was completely oblivious, and I was staring too much at the debuffs and buffs to see if actually something was appearing. But it's just 2 very quick, rapid purple swipes that occur on the target. So purple swipes very much like your Ashmane's Frenzy. So getting rid of the little bleed effect there, and instead getting that shadow damage in, which is pretty cool. Our next epic portrait here is Open Wounds. The Fangs of Ashmane tear deep into your target, causing your attacks to ignore 15% of the target's armor while Rip is active. So you're going to want to make sure that you have Rip on your target, so you can do some serious damage there. That's pretty good. We have Feral Instinct. Berserk increases all damage you deal by 15% for 15 seconds. That's going to be, I believe, 5% increase for every rank there, not 5 seconds increased for every rank there. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a 5% increase in damage per rank there, as opposed to 15 seconds. Basically, if you don't understand what I'm saying, basically I'm saying I'm pretty sure that rank 1, it's going to be Berserk increases your damage by 5% for 15 seconds, then 10% for 15 seconds, and then 15% for 15 seconds, as opposed to 15% for 5 seconds, 15% for 10 seconds, etc. I do believe the ranks will increase your damage, not the time on it. Here we have Ashmane's Energy. Tiger's Fury generates an additional 15 energy every 1 second for 3 seconds, so a wonderful buff there for Tiger's Fury. We have Scent of Blood, only 1 rank there. Each target hit by Thrash reduces the cost of Swipe by 2 energy for the next 4 seconds. So let's go ahead and use this here. Swipe is generally 45 energy. We'll hit 3 targets, and Swipe is now 39 energy. Pretty cool. Razor Fangs increases the damage dealt by Rip by 15%. Pretty powerful ability right there. Definitely, I feel if you're the PvP, you're going to be going up the right-hand track here uh, instead of the left-hand track. And you can double back and get the left-hand track later, but really this is a big one on the right-hand track here. We have Razor Fangs, which we already talked about. Razor Fangs increases damage dealt by Rip by 15%. Here we have Powerful Bite, increases the critical strike damage done by Ferocious Bite by 15%. Three ranks, 5% per rank. Same thing with this. 3 ranks, 5% per rank. And then lastly, we have the last epic portrait here, which is Ashmane's Bite. Your combo point generators against targets bleeding from your Rip have a 3% chance to awaken the Spirit of Ashmane, which inflicts a shadowy duplicate of that Rip on the target. Your combo point... Oh, let's just read this here again, because this is kind of a lot to soak in. Your combo point generators against targets bleeding from your Rip have a 3% chance to awaken the Spirit of Ashmane. Let's see if I can get this to work. I doubt we'll be able to get this to work. That's a 3% chance. I feel like that's never going to hit. Let's just go ahead and use this here, and then we'll use combo point generators. We're going to use Rip here, just because it'll allow me to conserve as much as possible, and see if we can actually see it appear here on the target. It doesn't look like it's appearing here, but a 3% chance is really tiny. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show that to you, because that is a really tiny chance for that to actually activate, which is annoying. But I can't show you very well what it will look like. But that is your last ability in your talent tree for the Fangs of Ashmane. So for the most part, Feral Druids have not changed much at all. You wouldn't know by how long this video by how long this video has taken, but basically we've been trying to show some of these low RNG abilities that take a long time to activate and we can never seem to get right. So that is an ability there, but do know that is a 3% chance. Your combo point generator abilities against Rip. So it's not like Rip ticks or anything like that. It's your combo point abilities actually being used against the target. So each time it has a 3% chance for it to actually activate. That is just... I don't really like that talent at all. That's just, it's too rare for it to actually be worthwhile. It'd be much better if it was like 25% chance, but they reduce the damage on it, you know, because it's no fun when it's like 3% chance, you know, you're just like, oh my gosh, it actually activated. I mean, that's how I feel like I'd be when something actually activated. So, that's kind of a disappointment there. Now, I did say at the end of this video that is pretty much everything for, Feral Druids. I said at the end of this video I would show you this new ability, Dream Walk. It is really cool. But that is everything for the artifact weapons and the abilities for a Feral Druid. In the next video we will go through the PvP tree, which honestly has not changed too much as well. It is still essentially close to the same. As you can see, Bambi walk across the screen there. Most has changed for most has remained unchanged for Feral. That's basically what you need to know about this. So as you can see right here, I'm actually inside the Emerald Dream. I'm going to pull up this map here, blow it up, so you can see, if I use Dreamwalk, I now have access to Mount Hyjal, Hinterlands, Duskwood, Moonglade, Faralos, Grizzly Hills, and the Dream Grove. That is awesome. That is so freaking cool. I now have access across all of Azeroth by going to the Dreamway. And as you can see all these portals here. All these portals going to these different places, and they even have like little pictures of what's there. You have the Faralos Guardian with a Faralos picture. They have Grizzly Hills picture. You can see the ruined tree of I think it's Vordrassil. You can see that in the picture there. So you can go through any one of these portals here to get across Azeroth, or you can just take this this one portal to the Dream Grove, which is always going to be indicated by the little bridge that you go across. That is your access into the Dream Grove. So, that's everything for Feral Druids in World of Warcraft Legion. I apologize for this taking a lot longer than I expected, and that's mostly due to the fact that we had so many abilities that were had low chances, and I really kind of wanted to see if I couldn't show them to you. We got the Thrash one to show with Ashmane's Frenzy, with Ashmane, the artifact weapon power Ashmane, from Ashmane, but we could not get the other. It is way too low. This video would be like 60 minutes long if we were waiting for that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and then in the next video we'll look at PvP and PvE talents. Otherwise, I will see you guys later. Tearless out.